The human gods are always touched upon in many videos, but who are they exactly, and where are they now? To best answer these questions, we need to go through the lore of each god to get to know them better. So hello, welcome to my channel. Here we'll learn the lore and stories of Tyria, and today we're taking a look at the human gods. There are 8 big names here, but we're gonna start with the ones who fell. As always, you can find the full lore on the official Guild Wars wikis. Now let's begin. Abaddon, the fallen god of secrets. Abaddon was once one of the 6 human gods. Before Kormir became a goddess, Abaddon held the position now associated with her. He was known as the god of knowledge and water, carrying titles such as the Keeper of Secrets and the Lord of Everlasting Depths. He was connected to knowledge, hidden truths, water and magic. After his fall, Kormir took over many of his responsibilities as the goddess of truth, while Lyssa later became associated with water. Like the other gods, Abaddon had a temple in Ore called the Cathedral of Hidden Depths. After Ore sank beneath the sea, the cathedral was lost and now lies beneath the Straits of Devastation. Following his downfall, people stopped referring to him as the god of knowledge and water. Instead, he became known simply as the god of secrets. Long ago, Abaddon was worshipped by the Church of Abaddon. When he fell, his priests and followers disappeared. However, centuries later, some people began worshipping him again. They believed that Abaddon had not been evil, but instead been treated unfairly because he wanted to help humanity. In 1 BE, the gods decided that the mortal races should be allowed to use magic. Abaddon took responsibility for sharing this gift with Tyria. And so magic spread throughout the world. At first, it brought progress and opportunity, but eventually, many people began using magic to wage war against one another. The destruction became so severe that King Doric traveled to Ara and begged the gods to stop the bloodshed. The gods answered his plea. They shattered the original bloodstone into 5 smaller bloodstones and divided the different forms of magic between them. This prevented only one person from controlling all magical power. According to Orian history, the gods used King Doric's blood to seal the bloodstones and placed his descendants in charge of protecting them. Abaddon strongly disagreed with this decision. He argued against restricting magic, but the other gods ignored his protests. When Abaddon's followers learned that magic had been restricted, some reacted with violence. The Morganites, devoted followers of Abaddon, attacked the Temple of the 6 Gods in Elona. They slaughtered priests loyal to the other gods and desecrated the sacred site. In response, the gods' ancient servants, the Forgotten, launched a military campaign against the Morganites. According to some accounts, the conflict became one of the greatest naval battles in human history. During the fighting, the Morganite leader Jadoth prayed to Abaddon for aid. Abaddon answered. He destroyed the pursuing Forgotten fleet and transformed the Morganites into powerful demonic beings capable of continuing the war. Eventually, Abaddon decided to challenge the authority of the other gods themselves. Leading his transformed Morganite armies, he launched an assault against the 5 gods. Abaddon was said to be the most powerful among them. For a time, victory seemed possible. But in the end, he could not overcome the combined strength of the other gods. He was defeated at the mouth of torment. The war had devastating consequences. The beautiful Crystal Sea was transformed into the Crystal Desert, while fertile lands became the harsh wasteland known as the Desolation. Because Abaddon's divine power could not be destroyed, the gods imprisoned him within the realm of torment, a prison hidden within the mists. The Temple of the 6 Gods was dragged into the realm of torment along with him. Balthazar forged the chains that bound Abaddon. His power was sealed behind 8 magical gates, while the Forgotten were tasked with guarding his prison. Afterward, the gods erased much of the world's knowledge about Abaddon. Soon after, they departed Tyria in an event known as the Exodus of the Gods. Even from his prison, Abaddon continued to influence Tyria. Over the centuries, he manipulated events from the shadows. He helped guide Shiro Tagachi towards the actions that caused the Jade Wind in Cantha. He used titans to provide the invading Char with the searing cauldrons that devastated Ascalon. He sent the demon Razikel, disguised as an Orion named Terik, to manipulate Vizier Kil'Baron, contributing to the events that led to the Cataclysm of War. Many later tragedies were connected, directly or indirectly, to Abaddon's schemes. His followers worked to free him, and powerful allies such as Varesh Ossa nearly succeeded. In 1075 AE, more than 1,000 years after his imprisonment, Abaddon came closer than ever to escaping. By this point, the once beautiful god had become twisted and monstrous. The efforts of the Sun Spears, the Order of Whispers, and their allies stopped his return. During the final battle, Spear Marshal Kormir sacrificed her mortal life and absorbed Abaddon's divine power. By doing so, she prevented that power from consuming Tyria. Kormir ascended to godhood as the new goddess of truth, and Abaddon, the fallen god of secrets, was finally destroyed. Dhuum, the first god of death. Dhuum was the original god of death, long before Grenth took his place. He was eventually overthrown and imprisoned by Grenth with the help of the Seven Reapers. In Guild Wars 2, Dhuum appears as the final boss of the Hall of Chains raid. Dhuum was said to be the immortal embodiment of death itself. He was a cruel and merciless god who believed that death should never be escaped. He consumed the souls of the dead, preventing them from returning to life or existing as undead. Anyone who tried to avoid their fate became his target. His promise to those who escaped death was simple: death undeniable. Dhuum ruled from a great tower within the underworld, where he watched over the dead with absolute authority. Around 48 BE, Dhuum was challenged by Grenth, the half-god son of the goddess Dwayna. Unlike Dhuum, Grenth believed that death should be a part of the natural balance of life, rather than an instrument of fear and cruelty. And Grenth was not alone. 7 mortal heroes fought beside him in his battle against Dhuum. Together, they confronted the old god in the ossuary beneath the Cathedral of Eternal Radiance in Or. After a fierce battle, Dhuum was defeated. The conflict was so powerful that Dhuum's tower in the underworld was destroyed, creating the region known as the Chaos Plains. Although Dhuum had fallen, he could not be destroyed completely. Instead, his divine power passed to Grenth, who became the new god of death. Unable to kill Dhuum permanently, Grenth sealed him within the Hall of Judgment in the underworld. Powerful enchanted doors and layers of divine magic were used to keep the former god imprisoned. The true reason why Dhuum could not be destroyed remains unknown. The 7 mortals who had helped Grenth were honored for their bravery. They became known as the Seven Reapers, and were given the responsibility of overseeing different parts of the underworld under Grenth's rule. Even while imprisoned, Dhuum remained dangerous. He continued to devour the souls of those who died within the underworld, slowly rebuilding his strength over the centuries. During the late 11th century AE, Dhuum's followers joined forces with the servants of Abaddon and Menzies, Balthazar's half-brother. Together, they launched an attack on the underworld. The 7 Reapers were captured and large portions of the realm fell under enemy control. One of Dhuum's generals, known as the Fury, played an important role during this period. The Fury led an army of titans through the door of Kamali after it was opened in the Ring of Fire. Later, Dhuum's forces attacked the Dragon Festival in Cantha in 1072 AE. They also aided Abaddon's followers during the events that nearly brought about Nightfall in Elona in 1075 AE. After centuries of feeding on souls, Dhuum finally gathered enough strength to begin breaking free from his prison. With the help of the 7 Reapers, mortal heroes performed a ritual that forced Dhuum back into a dormant state. For a time, the ritual worked. Dhuum was imprisoned once again. However, this new prison was not permanent. Over time, Dhuum continued struggling against the magical bonds that held him captive. Slowly but surely, he began breaking free once more. After Grenth departed from the underworld, Dhuum took advantage of the god's absence. He managed to reverse the seal that had bound him. Dhuum then redirected the River of Souls, causing it to flow directly into him. As countless souls fed his power, he grew stronger than ever before. He also spread corruption throughout the underworld. Many of Grenth's servants were twisted to serve Dhuum instead. With his growing army, Dhuum planned to invade Tyria and bring about the destruction of humanity. Fortunately, his plans were delayed. The spirits of the Ice Wastes, led by Dwayna, Grenth's first priestess, resisted Dhuum's advance. In 1330 AE, Dhuum's skeletal servants appeared in Tyria itself. They hunted down followers of Grenth, particularly necromancers who had answered Dwayna's call for help. Many who investigated God's Lost Swamp and Reaper's Gate, two places closely connected to the underworld, were slaughtered. A few necromancers managed to cross into the underworld. None survived for long. Eventually, Dwayna, the Seven Reapers, and a group of mortal raiders joined forces to confront Dhuum. Battling their way through his armies, they finally reached the Hall of Judgment, where Dhuum awaited them. The former god fought the raiders personally. While the battle raged, the Seven Reapers worked to complete a ritual that would imprison Dhuum once again. Dhuum unleashed a wave after wave of servants against them in an attempt to stop the ritual. During the later stages of the battle, the Reapers perished. Whether they died directly by Dhuum's hand or through some other interference remains uncertain. Despite their loss, the battle turned in favor of Tyria's defenders. The raiders worked alongside Dwayna, continuing the ritual that the Reapers had begun. At last, Dhuum was defeated. His essence separated from the dark armor he had been using as a vessel. This time, he was sealed within an even stronger prison than before. Unlike the seals of the past, this imprisonment appeared to be permanent. For now, the former god of death remains bound. But Dhuum has escaped before, and in Tyria, few things are ever truly eternal. Dwayna, the goddess of life and healing. Dwayna is the goddess of healing, air, and life. She is often seen as the leader of the 6 human gods, because she is calm, wise, and compassionate. The oldest known religious writing among the 6 gods are dedicated to her. Dwayna is usually depicted as a young, tall and graceful woman with large feathered wings, floating above the ground. She is also often shown weeping, representing her sorrow for the pain, suffering and loss experienced by mortals. According to the Orient history scrolls, Dwayna was the first of the 6 gods to arrive in Tyria from the mists. She brought humanity with her, hoping to help create a world where people could live in peace and prosperity. Not only humans followed Dwayna's teachings. Over the centuries, some members of other races came to worship the 6 gods as well. A number of dwarves in particular devoted themselves to Dwayna and her ideals of compassion and healing. For a time, the 6 gods lived openly among their followers in Ara, the great city in Or. However, the gods' divine radiance was overwhelming. Mortals who looked upon them for too long could be blinded by their brilliance. Eventually, the gods decided to withdraw from public life. Before retreating, Dwayna asked the famous Orient sculptor Malkor to create statues of each of the 6 gods. One by one, as each statue was completed, the god it represented withdrew deeper into Ara. Malkor worked tirelessly on the statues, pouring all of his skill into honoring the gods. When he finally completed Dwayna's statue, he had lost his sight. Blind, he asked Dwayna if he had captured her likeness correctly. Moved by his devotion, Dwayna wept. She allowed Malkor to touch her face so that he could understand just how faithfully he had carved her image, even without the gift of sight. But Dwayna knew that she could not remain. As she withdrew into Ara alongside the other gods, she left Malkor behind. Heartbroken by both his blindness and his love for the goddess, Malkor climbed the cliffs near Dwayna's cathedral. Realizing he would never see Dwayna again, he cast himself into the sea below. The place where he fell would later become known as Malkor's Leap. At some point in Tyria's history, Dwayna gave birth to a son named Grenth. Grenth was a half-god, born from Dwayna and an unnamed mortal sculptor. Before the cataclysm of Or, the people of Or worshipped Dwayna at the magnificent Cathedral of Zephyrs. Even after the gods departed from Tyria, her followers remained devoted to her teachings. In the present day, the Church of Dwayna continues to honor the goddess of life, seeking to embody her values of healing, compassion, and mercy. Among the Norn, Dwayna is viewed in a different way. Rather than worshipping her as a goddess, some Norn refer to her as a spirit of action, respecting the qualities she represents. Though Dwayna no longer walks openly among the people of Tyria, her influence can still be felt wherever kindness is shown, wounds are healed, and hope is offered in times of despair. Melandru, goddess of nature and growth. Melandru is the goddess of nature, earth, and growth. Among the 6 human gods, she is deeply connected to the natural world and has power over all living things, including both plants and animals. According to the Orion history scrolls, Melandru was the 3rd god to arrive in Tyria from the mists and is considered the oldest of the 6 gods. Together with Dwayna, Melandru attempted to bring peace and harmony to the many races of Tyria. Some Char legends claim that Melandru created Tyria itself, but human scholars consider this to be false. Melandru is often shown as a woman with a human upper body, while her lower half is made of wood, roots, or tree-like forms. This reflects her strong bond with nature and the living world. Stories say that statues of Melandru can provide healing and fresh water to those who are favored by the gods. Because of this, she is strongly linked to growth, renewal, and the life-giving forces of nature. Before the Cataclysm of Or, Melandru was worshipped at the Grand Cathedral of Verdance in Ara. Like the other sacred temples in Or, it was a place where people came to honor the gods and seek their blessing. Even after the gods left Tyria, Melandru's teachings remained. Today, the Church of Melandru continues to honor her as the goddess of nature, teaching respect for the land, its creatures, and the balance of life. According to her scriptures, Melandru once witnessed a tribe of godless humans led by a man named Evan. This tribe moved across the land, destroying everything in their path without care for nature or life. Seeing this destruction, Melandru chose to intervene directly. She blocked their path using a wall of thorny branches and living plants, stopping their advance. Then she revealed herself to them in the form of a great tree with the upper body of a woman, speaking to them as the goddess of nature. Melandru judged Evan and his tribe for the damage they had caused. As punishment, she bound them to the land itself and transformed them into tree-like guardians, forcing them to become stewards of the natural world they had once destroyed. Human scholars believe Malagan, which is the goddess that the Quaggan worship, may actually be a version of Melandru, pointing to similarities between the stories and the use of a sunken statue of Melandru as a shrine. The Quaggan, however, do not agree with this idea. They believe Malagan is a separate goddess entirely. Still, being gentle and polite, most Quaggan avoid arguing with scholars about it. Melandru represents the strength, patience, and the endurance of nature. She is the force that allows life to continue growing even after destruction. Forests, rivers, mountains, and all living creatures are a part of her domain. While other gods are known for war, death, or secrets, Melandru is remembered for something quieter, but just as powerful. The slow, steady rhythm of life itself. Growth, balance, and the endless renewal of the natural world. Kormir, the goddess of truth. Kormir is the goddess of order, spirit, and truth. She is the newest of the 6 gods, ascending in 1075 AE after the defeat of the fallen god Abaddon. Because she became a god so recently, older historical records do not mention her unless they were written or updated after her ascension. Today, the Church of Kormir worships her as the goddess of truth. This is also the god most hated by players of Guild Wars 1 Nightfall due to her stealing godhood from players. Before becoming a god, Kormir was the Spear Marshal of the Sun Spears, an order dedicated to protecting Elona. During her life, she oversaw the release of Palavajoko. She recruited Sun Spears from Tyria, Cantha, and the Battle Isles, and led Elona into a war against War Marshal Varesh Ossa. During this conflict, she was captured in Gandhara, the Moon Fortress, where one of Abaddon's demons named the Hunger blinded her. Later, Kormir and the Sun Spears entered the Realm of Torment, where they defeated Abaddon's servants, including Vizier Kil'Baron and Shiro Tagachi. The gods then gave Kormir a mysterious gift, though its purpose was unclear at first. After Abaddon was defeated, his power began to destabilize. Kormir realized the truth of the gift and absorbed Abaddon's divine power, becoming the new goddess of truth. After her ascension in 1075 AE, Kormir spoke her final words to her mortal allies and then entered the mists. She made her home in the former realm of Abaddon, the realm of torment, where she created the Sanctum of Truth to gather and preserve knowledge. Her actions led to the rise of a new clergy that spread her worship across Tyria, Elona and Grenth. Some prophecies, however, warned that her connection to Abaddon's power might one day lead her toward darkness. Even after becoming a god, a part of Kormir's mortal self remained. She still cared for the Sun Spears and blessed their sanctuary with protective magic, allowing it to remain hidden and safe. She later dedicated herself to recording knowledge in the Sanctum of Truth, while the other gods withdrew further into the mists. Lyssa, goddess of beauty and illusion. Lyssa is the goddess of beauty, water and illusion. She is one of the 6 human gods, but she is also the most mysterious. She is often described as a dual-faced goddess, sometimes shown as twin sisters named Ilia and Lyssa. Because of this, it is unknown whether Lyssa is truly one being, 2 beings, or something beyond normal understanding. Even her origins are unclear. Scholars do not know when she first appeared among the 6 gods, or whether she was present when they brought humanity to Tyria from the mists. Before the Cataclysm of Ore, Lyssa was worshipped at the beautiful Cathedral of Eternal Radiance. Today, the Church of Lyssa continues to honor her as the goddess of beauty. Lyssa is often seen as the perfect symbol of beauty. Many statues of her are said to be so beautiful that those who gaze upon them for too long become lost in admiration, sometimes even to the point of collapse from exhaustion or thirst. She is also strongly connected to illusion and shifting magic, and her nature is linked to change, unpredictability and deception. For a long time, she was not clearly tied to any single element. Only after the death of Abaddon in 1075 AE was she more closely associated with water. Lyssa is believed to favor art, beauty and culture. Her blessings are said to bring great joy, inspiration and success to her followers. However, her wrath is just as extreme. Those who anger her may be overwhelmed by fear, despair or illusion, unable to trust what they see or feel. According to her scriptures, Lyssa once disguised herself as a sick and deformed young woman and entered the village of Ren in Ore. She asked for shelter and work, but many villagers refused her. They feared she carried disease. Only one young woman named Sarah showed her kindness and helped her despite the risk. In response, Lyssa revealed her true identity as a goddess. The people of Ren begged for forgiveness, but Lyssa instead blessed Sarah with her gifts. She taught the villagers that true beauty is not about appearance, but about kindness and actions. Lyssa remains one of the most mysterious of the 6 gods. She represents beauty, illusion and change, forces that are both wonderful and dangerous. Her teachings remind mortals that what they see is not always the truth, and that true beauty often comes from within, rather than from appearances alone. There is also a player theory that Countess Anise and Queen Jenna are avatars of Lyssa, or even Lyssa herself, due to them both being the most powerful mesmers in Tyria, and Countess Anise seemingly never aging. But perhaps we'll never know. Grenth, god of death, ice and darkness. Grenth is the god of death, ice and darkness. He represents judgment, mortality and the end of life. He is the son of Dwayna, an immortal sculptor, making him the first of the 6 human gods born on Tyria itself. Because of this, he is often seen as a bridge between mortals and divinity. Grenth is strongly connected to judgment, vengeance and the end of all things. His teachings encourage people to reject illusion and false holiness, and to see the world as it truly is. Because of this, he is often seen as opposing Lyssa, the goddess of illusion and beauty. His followers also believe in facing truth without fear, even if that truth is harsh or painful. Grenth is usually shown with a human-like body and a beast skull, symbolizing death and the passage of souls. He is often surrounded by images of the dead reaching toward him for judgment. Because of his connection to death and necromancy, he is widely worshipped by necromancers across Tyria. Before the Cataclysm of Ore, Grenth was worshipped at the Cathedral of Silence. Today, the Church of Grenth continues to honor him as the god of death. Grenth's most important act was his rebellion against Dhuum, the former god of death. With the help of 7 mortal heroes, Grenth challenged Dhuum, who ruled the underworld with cruelty and fear. Dhuum consumed souls, prevented resurrection, and hunted those who escaped the death. Around 48 BE, Grenth and his allies defeated Dhuum inside the Cathedral of Eternal Radiance in Ore. Grenth shattered Dhuum's power source in the underworld, creating the Chaos Planes. He then took Dhuum's place as the new god of death. Since Dhuum could not be destroyed, Grenth sealed him inside the Hall of Judgment in the underworld. The mortals who helped him were rewarded and became known as the 7 Reapers, who now serve as judges and guardians of the underworld. As the new god of death, Grenth became the one who judges souls and guides them through the underworld. He ensures that spirits move to their proper afterlife and that death follows order rather than chaos. He also created and empowered spirits and servants to help manage the dead, including the Judge of the Lost. One of Grenth's first followers was a woman named Nesmina, who had been rejected by her people for her ambition and fascination with power. Grenth offered her control over the undead in exchange for loyalty, and she became his first devoted servant. From her teachings, the Church of Grenth grew, centering around the Cathedral of Silence in Ore. Missionaries later spread his worship across Tyria, and some groups, such as the Cursic House Durheim, devoted themselves to preserving his teachings. In his early years as a god, Grenth created powerful artifacts, including the warhorn Verderak, which could summon the spirits of the dead. However, it became unstable and dangerous, calling forth vengeful wraiths that attacked both enemies and the newly dead. Another legend tells of 2 brothers who challenged Grenth. In response, instead of simply killing them, he transformed them into twin serpents and bound them to serve him forever. These beings became a warning to others about defying the god of death. Grenth represents the idea that death is not something to fear, but something that must be understood. He is both feared and respected across Tyria, especially by those who work with death and spirits. His rule brought order to the underworld, replacing chaos with judgment and structure. Even now, he remains one of the most important forces in the balance between life and death. Balthazar, the god of war and fire. Balthazar is the god of war, fire and challenge. He represents strength, battle, courage and conquest. He was the second of the 6 gods to arrive in Tyria from the mists. According to legend, he arrived carrying the severed head of his father and was accompanied by his 2 great hounds, Temar and Tegon. Balthazar strongly encouraged humanity to fight other races and claim the world for themselves. He believed that humanity would be strong enough to dominate Tyria. Because of this, he is worshipped as a source of courage, victory and strength in battle, but he is also feared by many who see him as violent and destructive. Some even call him the god of mass murder. Balthazar is often shown as a powerful warrior wielding a greatsword, standing with his hounds at his side. He is strongly associated with war and combat, fire and destruction, honor and valor, and wolves and hounds. Before the destruction of the Battle Isles, the Sai-Shen order worshipped Balthazar exclusively. In Ore, he was worshipped at the Cathedral of Glorious Victory. Today, the Church of Balthazar continues to honor him as the god of war. Balthazar's history is mostly mysterious, but he is known for his endless war against his half-brother Menzies, the Lord of Destruction. This conflict takes place in Balthazar's realm, the Fissure of Woe, where his armies, known as the Eternals, fight against Menzies' Shadow Army. This endless conflict is known as the Eternal Battle, and its origin and ending are unknown. According to a Canthan legend, Balthazar once walked among mortals and came to a village that offended him through a forgotten tradition or insult. An elderly ritualist named Koalai challenged him to a game of Nui, offering the safety of the village as the prize. Balthazar accepted. After 7 days, Koalai won the game. In anger, Balthazar killed him, but in a rare act of respect, he allowed Kaolai to be honored and placed in the Tanakai temple afterward. Balthazar is remembered as both a protector of warriors and a bringer of destruction. He represents the idea that conflict can build strength, but also cause great suffering. To some, he is a god of honor and courage. To others, he is a warning about the dangers of endless war. This has been the lore and story of all the human gods. It was quite a long one, but I hope you enjoyed the video. The lore on the gods is fascinating, and I hope we get to discover more about them in the future of Guild Wars 2 or in Guild Wars 3, as that game is set when the gods walk Tyria. With that said, thank you for watching this video. Please like and comment something you thought was interesting or something that I missed. Also subscribe to not miss future lore content in this format. Now, take care, and I will see you in the next story. Goodbye.